years later, after being on the streets, I'm still dealing with challenges, but that's life, right? So my thesis is, or my guiding question is, can we shorten that 10-year period that it took me to kind of get from point A to point B, functionalism and some modicum of health, for those people who are rising up off the streets? And what do we need to do to make that happen? And I say we need to drive success rates in the programs that are being offered across the country. And so Paul introduced me to this wonderful graphic, the broken state, which I know very well, and then the change-ready state. And then it's a different slide, but you don't have that slide, do you, Paul? The next slide for this? Sorry. Just the one below that. Oh, no, that one. No, the one with the squares. There it is. Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. All that to say, our goal is to focus here on this backpack and this walking stick and these shoes and the binocular, all of these things that an adventurer needs to be successful when they get here, the programs. A lot of times these programs are very specific. We're going to heal you from addiction. We're going to heal you from trauma. We're going to heal you from sexual abuse. We're going to heal you from housing. All of these things, but they don't tend to, from my experience, focus on what the adventurer here needs to navigate the journey ahead. And in my experience, what happened was I got off the streets. Okay, I'm standing up off the sidewalk. Here's a program. Bump. I bump my head, my trauma. I'd go up and I'd go bump. I bump my head. I don't believe. I'd go bump. I'm an addict. I'd go bump. They don't like me. I go bump. I don't belong. I go bump. And I'd go back and I'd shoot dope. Luckily, I didn't die. But I'll tell you, hundreds of people did during those 10 years that I was working on myself. After that 10 years of using transformation to try and help myself, I needed a break from my nonprofit. And I went and worked for a woman named Lindy Yates. She's one of the top strategists in Silicon Valley. She works with multi-billion-dollar companies. And we would teach those companies how to think different. Well, we called it think wrong. And to basically use a methodology that she created to help them disrupt inside and to help them disrupt outside and spin companies in. And I began to understand as I was working under her see how I could apply the methodology that she was teaching to these large global businesses to my own life as a recovering addict, as a recovering trauma survivor, as someone still struggling with intimacy, where they would talk about pain points and blockers. I would look in the mirror and ask myself what my pain points and blockers are. As they would talk about, making a series of small bets, and going out there, I would make a series of small bets on my life and things that I could test and prototypes of behavior that I could design. So the idea is we are working to understand more deeply the pain points and blockers of the homeless population in the United States, and then pull from transformational studies and pull from innovation and disruption to create a toolkit, a triage kit that can go here and give in the mind the person better abilities, more superpowers to be successful here. Anybody have any questions? No? Okay. Let me just check my notes.
I have a question.
Oh. Sure.
What is in the toolkit?
Oh, great. That's a great question. Okay. Where's my phone? Did I leave my phone somewhere? Oh, it's here. Oh, okay. That's a great question. So some of the things that I came up against that I would have been really lucky to have as I engaged in all of these programs would have been a crisis management tool. I had a list here. I had a big forgiveness piece that was getting in the way. I had a trauma piece that was getting in the way of my success. I had critical thinking skills that could have been really helpful that I didn't know anything about. I didn't know how to stop, pivot, and reframe a situation or compartmentalize things that were overwhelming. I didn't know that I wasn't my thoughts and that I was running on inherited conditioning or programming or coding, and that I could hack it and recode my, So some of those are kind of complicated, but part of the goal with our program is to like make them really simple, practical, and so people can apply them. And what that looks like, we're developing that, and I want to ask you guys to help with that discovery process today, because we're asking a lot of really smart people to help us figure out what this toolkit could look like and how we can implement it. A few other things just to answer your question. I didn't believe that it was possible. I didn't believe that it was possible that I'd one day be standing here. I had no vision. It's a story about the ships that were offshore that the natives couldn't see. I don't know exactly how that story goes, but they couldn't see the ships coming because they had never seen a ship before. And so helping people to understand that there are ships out there and that is their ship, or some version of that. I didn't have visioning skills, and I could go on, but hope that answers your question to some degree.
And how old were you at that time?
I was 32 years old. Yeah.
You need to switch. So I had a question for you. Out in the broken state, was there any question or anything that you felt could have brought you into a place where you were more open to change? Was there anything that anybody could have said to you or helped you with that you felt would have been very effective?
Well, I think "I love you" could have been really helpful. I didn't hear that from anyone, and that's been, offered as a really important ingredient as a baseline for this program. Acceptance. One of the things in creating these support groups that we want to do is to welcome people in with a sense of value. Like, you're critical to this process of developing this 10-year study that we're in, but more than that, just in the support group, you're critical in helping this support group meeting discover what our pain points and blockers are and how we might solve them, and what tools are working and what tools we may need. And so suddenly we're going from a circle of metal chairs in an AA meeting to a process like we're going to go to today, where everybody feels like they're gold, everybody feels like they're valuable, everybody feels like the focus is not on them in a way that something's wrong with them. They're broken. They need something external to fix them. Coming from more of a diversity and inclusion perspective. And
Yes, so I love this till 10-year holding the container. What are some of the metrics of success? Because I think traditionally metrics to success have been like, are you sober? But it sounds like you're opening up the aperture of what healing looks like. So what would a metric to success look like in this study?
That's a great question. For me, I think that the first and most important one is that we see a dramatic increase in success rates in programs, and that this toolkit is actually accepted, that it's digestible and easy to understand, and that it's easy for people to apply. The first day at the Salvation Army, when things are weird and scary and their shit's coming up, their stuff is coming up, right? And they've got some toolkit to work from. I met a guy in Los Angeles named Callie. It's a funny story. I was getting coffee and Callie comes in, and Callie has 2 cell phones. Seems like a nice guy, so I strike up a conversation. I'm like, "Oh man, you got 2 phones, bro. What's that? What's up with that?" And he looks at me, he smiles, a big smile, like only Callie can. And he says, "It's the kit that you're working from. That's what matters." And this folded right into kind of what I was wanting to do, but he gave it this context that really helped. It's the kit that we work from, all of us, every day, right? What do we have that we can grab to help us get through that next moment? What do we have that we can grab when our stuff gets kicked up? What do we have that we can grab when we're, unable to process? Do we even understand how to process or metabolize emotions? We are run and driven by our lack or abundance of tools. And so this is where I think this is really important. Yes, sir.
Curious about, you mentioned the 10-year period. Was it, were you in your 30s or in your 40s when you're on that 10-year period of being transformed?
I got off the streets in 2004, and between 2004 and 20, whatever. 2004
and 2014.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Yeah.
What you mentioned that you would, bump into a wall, you'd be triggered, your trauma would come up or something, and then you'd go back and you'd shoot dope, I think you mentioned.
Yeah.
What stopped you from what broke that cycle from a downward spiral that then triggered you to get back on? Like, what were the stoppers that stopped you from sliding all the way back down and becoming homeless again?
Yeah, that's a great question. Community, and also the tools that I had begun to cultivate. I began to have sort of a Neanderthal sense of how to use them. And the more tools I got, the more traction I got.
So can you break that down? Like, what did that look like? Did you have a stop that I'm never doing certain drugs again, and you, by God's grace, that was a stop? Or was it?
Yeah, that doesn't really make sense to an addict.
Okay, so that was not one of your stops. Okay.
Yeah.
But you'd have a buddy who'd come and show up and say no and drag you back into the process that you need. I mean,
well, yeah. Okay. So yeah. Yes. The more you get into the solution, the more the solution gets into you, right? And sort of like, you're going against the wind, and then at some point, the wind starts being at your back, right? So somewhere in that spectrum, it's just the upward spiral is like a spectrum of transformation, of change. And so, somebody in AA used to say, a lot of meetings, a lot of recovery, little meetings, little recovery. So I don't know if that answers your question, but So with this research study, I just want to say I'm hoping, and I haven't presented this yet, but I'm hoping we can work with someone cool like Geo, to really crunch the data nationally on, on these pain points and get these surveys out and find a way to organize all of it. So there's lots of people getting involved in this project. I'd love all of you to get involved in this project right now and get into a discovery process. We're going to get some stickies out and some pens. And for those of you who want, we're going to use this wall to kind of generate some ideas that might help us develop this program. Is everybody up for that? Who's up for that? Yeah. My friend Fernando is going to come up and help out. Fernando's our media director and an amazing guy with an amazing story himself. So how are we going to do this? We're going to head these. Let me help hand these out. guys to get up and come over here to the board, and we're all going to kind of stand around and popcorn ideas on the wall here. And, Fernando's going to lead us in a little process here. Thank you, because you all have value, you all have genius, you all have gold within you, and we want that gold to help other people find their internal gold. I think we're going to use a wall. She said the stickies bounce off this. Yeah. Fernando, are you going to come up? Okay. Guys, I'm going to turn over to Fernando.
Hey guys, how's it going today? All righty. I don't know. Yeah. So this is what we're going to do. So we're going to reduce this down to 3 pockets. And so
Come closer, you guys. Come on, come on. We need you. We need you.
okay, so
There's some room over here too.
perfecto.
Yeah, come on over. We make room for other people on that side. I'm going to move some of these chairs. Go ahead, Fernando.
Okay, so what we're going to be doing is having three pockets. One is what you've seen out there that's actually working, what is currently not working, and if you had your hopes and dreams, what would you like to see implemented?
And I'll just dovetail onto that. What we're talking about, what's working, is we're talking about the mindsets and the skill sets of people who are on the street. So what's working that helps people be successful in programs? We'll start with that. So what mindsets, attitudes, internal resources have you seen that are common in the people who make it?
And remember, there's no wrong answers. And even if you have duplicate answers, it's okay. That just means you guys are thinking the same thing. So
Perseverance might be it. Okay. Oh, people who persevere make it. Okay. You know, I met a guy outside Safeway and he had a great attitude. He seemed like he was on his way. Oh, wait, Stevie there?
Yep.
This person seemed to have patience. This person was very kind to themselves or had a sense of like self-love. This person was able to process his emotions really. If you know.
or even someone that had a recollection or tied to their usefulness in life. Some people just like, I don't feel useful, but once upon a time I did. How can they actually, if that's something that's conscious on how they can pull through that.
And it doesn't have to necessarily be, well, I'll just leave it at that. You guys are doing great. Okay. Oh, I love the participation. You guys are great. There's so much genius in this room. Love it. And imagine that this is the way that we're talking to people who are coming out of homelessness, acknowledging them for their genius, for their brilliance. People coming out of prison, people coming out of trauma. They're not broken, they're the solution, right? When they start becoming willing to participate. Oh, wow. Self-worth, Jesus, hope, purpose. People are resourceful, street savvy. I like that one. Follow through. That's amazing. Supportive relationships, friends. Moral worth. That's important. Self-belief. That's one I didn't have. Hope, vision. That's purpose. That's huge. Really big one. Humility. Wow. Anybody else? Think like inner skill sets around like critical thinking, like how to navigate like through a problem or beyond a wall. And you can think from your own life personally. What are inner tools that help you move through walls in your life? When you hit a wall, what do? How do you get through it? What's your inside game, your inside job that you do? What does that say? Oh, reverse engineering. Oh, that's what I'm talking about. That's a tool. That's a tool. That's a big one right there. Yeah. Now we're getting technical, right? Okay, we're going to move on to the next set. Fernando. What's that? Okay, we're going to move on. We can go over the other side. We're going to move to the other wall so we don't have to take all that down, guys.
All right, so this wall right here is going to be what's not what is getting a negative adverse reaction. Yeah, so
Yeah.
This wall is for what's not
Wipe my
working
nose.
right now.
Oh. Jesus. Has that been on my nose the whole time?
Yeah.
Huh?
Whatever's over there, the complete
Don't
opposite.
lie. You did? Oh my God, booger on my nose. Tell me if I got a booger on my nose, man. Don't let me booger out. What kind of friends are you? I can let me booger out like that. No, they got me. Okay, so this is what you notice that in people who don't make it in life. Specifically people who are on the streets or struggling with addictions or mental health challenges or trauma. What is it that shuts people down and mentally and their thoughts, their beliefs, the way they do things, the way they reach out or don't reach out. And you can apply it to your own life as well. What's not working, and when you need to break through that next wall to like get that next level of healing for yourself. Okay, we got self-isolation. That is no go, no bueno. Come on, somebody put ego up there. Ego is not your amigo. Nihilism. We got to talk. I don't even know what that is. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, that happens when you're out on the streets, man. You just lose. Some people you don't even want to live anymore. You don't care anymore. Yeah, thank you. Giving up, loss of self-doubt. This is going better than expected, you guys. Thank you. We are winning. Can't. Victim mentalities. Anger, emotional immaturity, gaslighting. No friends, community. Stop dreaming. Oh boy, that's somebody that knows. Lost hope. Yeah. Yeah. They don't feel loved. Yeah. They think that no one cares about them. Right. That'll stop you. If you're in a world where you think nobody cares, that happens when you're homeless. You just happened to me. I just thought nobody cared anymore. That hurts you if you're trying to change your life. You want to grow. If you think nobody loves you, nobody cares. Why do you even want to grow if that's the case, Okay, let me just read some of those. Focus on the past. Stuck in a loop. Unforgiveness. That's a big one. We've been talking to people on the streets. My friend that came out of prison, that's the first thing he said. I couldn't forgive myself. He didn't make it in the programs. He spent 20 years trying to change his life because he had a forgiveness piece. How can we help people move that piece out of the way immediately when they say, I want to change? I want to change. We're not doing that. We should be. Negative self-talk, despair, gaslighting. What's gaslighting? I forget. Okay. Okay. Got it. Okay. Different reality. Hopelessness, that's huge. Believing the lie. Pride. Pride. Okay, those are amazing. Thanks, guys. Where's Fernando? Oh, okay, we had a stall. We need a few more. Well, yeah. Yeah, this is great. Fernando, you ready? You getting ready? 1 second? Okay. I can help you. One thing that was really hard for me was I just didn't believe. I didn't believe it was possible to change. And, no point in working on yourself if you don't believe it's possible. All right. Come on over, guys. All right. What happened to my nice music? That was so nice. Oh, okay. Oh, can we just... Oh, can we turn on here? I'm just on my phone. Let me turn my Bluetooth off. There we go. Yeah. Oh, because it's coming out of there. Okay. Okay, we're on the home stretch, you guys. Oh, we're going to keep all these up, right?
Yep.
Okay. Could somebody take a picture of one of my people? Oh, that's Fernando. Fernando's the guy that has everything you could ever want. If you want a Band-Aid, Fernando's got it. If you want that funny cable that nobody has, Fernando has it. He'd pull a rabbit out of his hat, man. I mean, just, it's amazing. I'm serious. Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure Fernando has super glue in his back pocket right now. Okay, go ahead. This is you, Fernando. Take us home.
All right, now I'm on. All right, so we're back at this wall here. So this is going to be the part. If you had your hopes and dreams exactly the way you would reach somebody and get them exactly where you want to be, what would it be?
Yeah. So in a perfect world, 5-10 years from now, if the success rates were up 50-70% in for people going through programs to help them, like what would they be doing? What skills would they have? What tools would they be using internally? Just, no wrong answers. What might that look like? What does Citizen X coming out of homelessness have in his tool bag that he can use that is driving those 70%, 80% success rates in programs in the United States? Hey. Empathy, easy access to resources, holding on to Jesus, resilience, meaningful projects. Think tools, something that they pull out of their tool bag and use when things get hard, right? And tools that they bring out to achieve success, ways of thinking, ways of holding things in their mind, ways of relating to the world, reacting to the world. Ways that they process and handle the hard things like not being loved, feeling like they're not loved, feeling like they don't belong, getting stuck in their thoughts, facing internal crises. How do we create that perfect tool bag? What things might we want to consider teaching? Are they able to pivot, the right way at the right time to save their life, to stay in that program? Good job. Okay. Resilience, patience. Ooh, patience is a good one. Steps to forgive, marketable skills, retraining situations, God-minded, growth mindset, that's huge. That's a huge one. I didn't know what growth mindset was when I was on the streets. Reframing, I didn't know what reframing was. Took me 5 years to have somebody talk to me about reframing. Like sit down and explain what it was. I didn't know. All I knew was like I was scared. I couldn't do it. I didn't believe. I was reactive. Limitless empathy. I love this one. Compassion, having compassion. I didn't learn that for like 6 years after I got off the streets. I learned that from my meditation teacher, how to just offer my thoughts compassion and observe them, that I'm not my thoughts. Oh my God, I was my thoughts for 10 years. That's what got me high. A mentor, that's a good one. Support group, they need church. Lots of church and prayer and God stuff on here. Higher power, so important. I mean, as long as it's loving, that's what they taught us in AA. I like Jesus, but you know, if you just find a loving higher power, can just be a friend. It can be a group. It can be your AA meeting. Advocating for others, sense of justice, kindness. I have a friend that says that's the highest vehicle. Self-control, that's brilliant. Goodness. Oh my God, these are so great. Joy, I haven't seen that. That's critical to have. I didn't have joy for years. I didn't know how to create it. The why. Who wrote the why? You're just a hit machine. What is that? Huh? What does that mean? The why for you? Yeah. Yeah. Critical. They talk about that in global businesses. Like, right? You got to know your why. That's a good one. Determination, time management. Now, that sounds simple, but that's huge. I didn't think about that. Positive outlook. That's critical. We have a few more, you guys. Somatic healing. That's awesome. Impactful life. Meaningful project. Patience. Faithfulness. Self-awareness. Peace. Holy Spirit. Reflection on what works. Reflection is a big tool. That's a big tool. Reflection. Why? But it should be your why. Okay. But it should be your why. Right. Discernment. Yeah. Yeah. Their why, your why. Right, right. That's true. Yeah. 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 That's great. All right. That's great. Well, what time is it? I just want to make sure we stay on time. What time is it? 1:05. Okay, so we're over a little bit, you guys. All right. Well, let's give ourselves a big hand. Everybody. Yeah. We go to 1:30? Oh, we go to 1:30. Oh, thank you. Hi. All right, that's even better. All right. Well, if anybody wants to take pictures of the walls for whatever reason, go ahead and take a quick shot. And I guess we can do some more Q&A with the rest of the time. Huh? Oh, I'll do that. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. Okay.
Okay, so should we
Thanks,
have
Brian.
everyone take a seat?
Yeah. All right. Yeah. All right. Yeah, some good ideas up there. All right. Hey. So how was that for you guys? Can I get some comments? Like, how was that process? What came up for you? Andrew, you need a mic? Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
we prefer to use a mic because we are recording.
Oh, we're recording. Yeah.
Here you go, Andrew.
How was that for you? What?
So one of the things that popped up, and it wasn't just me, but there were a number of people that pointed out hope is one of the things that will pull you through if you're in this, that works.
Yeah.
And the opposite of that is despair. So I put despair in the things that don't work and hope for one of my items that do work.
Nice.
And I think without hope, I think it's impossible to pull out of it.
Yeah.
You can have all the skills in the world, but if you have no hope.
Do you have any thoughts on how we can create hope for people when they get up off the sidewalk and they're wandering towards Glide Church to maybe get into a program?
I
Ted?
know it might be hard, but think of one thing, just one thing in your life that you are grateful for, you're thankful for,
Mm-hmm.
and that just pick one thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you can do that once a day, just pick one single item that you're thankful for. That will actually start to pull in hope in your life if you don't
Yeah.
have it.
And I think like finding heroes, finding people that have done what you want to do. Anybody else? Something spark for somebody else?
I just noticed that for myself, but I think we were a little slower for that third category of things. And just
Yeah.
recognizing that it is hard to name these skills and tools that people actually need to thrive. We can talk about the, what we think might work, what doesn't, but to
Yeah.
actually name the tools is a challenge.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Coming from both angles. Yeah, I just found that it was making me reflect on like some of the great teachers I've had in my life, on like trying to think of like mantras and stuff that they would say to me. Like I took this class one time in college that was just called How to Live a Good Life, and there was this philosophy class where they had all these mantras throughout it. I feel like I wrote several of them up there, but I just felt even fortunate that I could even think of those people to call back on, where I think just something at the bottom of that is like just your network and where you come from and like community, and where that all like builds on all of these intangibles that we were just talking about, where sometimes like what this past year I was talking to somebody who was from the South America. He was from Chile. And he was on the streets of San Francisco. He wasn't homeless. He was just a Chilean guy, and I lived there, so I was talking to him. But he told me, he said the number one thing about the Bay Area that he loved when he visited here was the collective knowledge of the average person. Like just being here, like there's higher levels. So I mean, even the community that you come from, he said, like just being from South America, the average person doesn't know what like, I don't know who Elon Musk is or something. I don't know. That was just like, that's his example that he said. But again, that's just what I was thinking about this whole time, of like where our community is, where we grow these skills even.
I think for me, in my journey, I remember somebody saw more in me than I saw in myself, right? And I couldn't see myself outside of my little bubble, my circle where I was broken, and I couldn't see a way out. But I had one person who just refused to see anything less than better than where I was. And they kept giving me chances to prove myself good or bad. And I had successes and failures, but eventually I started to see what they saw. But I needed their eyes and I needed their feedback for a while.
I mean, that's a great point. I mean, none of this is, no transformation or growth happens alone, right? And so the external services and the external love and that what you're talking about are essential to marry with this idea of a program that we're developing. Yeah, it's a good reminder. Yes.
I think one thing that stood out between this question, which was what's not working, and then when we transition to like what are some tools, what's not working, I think focused a lot on the inward, like the kind of boxes and cages that are built in our minds and the traumas that have caused people to kind of stay isolated and self-protect.
Yeah.
But then when we transition to the third category, which was what are some tools in your toolkit that could help, it was a lot more outward, and it was like God reliant versus being self reliant, or just having things that were intangible like hope and love. I think someone did all the fruits of the spirit. Yeah. And yeah, that was like these intangible things in community. They're really not things that you can buy. It's just you experience them.
One thing that came up for me is I had a brother who was suffering from mental illness for about 12 years. And one thing that you forget is that they're suffering, but the family suffers, and those closest to them also suffer a lot in that process. And it makes it really hard, even though you love them, to show them love like you would someone who is healthy. And that's actually the ingredient that they need the most at that time. And there's an organization called NAMI, the National Alliance for Mental Illness. And it's an incredible organization that kind of teaches the family members, well, teaches people with mental illness, but also the family members of people with mental illness, like kind of what's going on in their minds and how to help them. And it's really important that you educate yourself on these things also when maybe you're not impacted by mental illness, but when you're dealing with someone who is. And it makes it a lot easier to kind of understand, because it's really, really hard to understand what's going on in their mind. And it is equally as hard on the family as it is on the actual individual. And as you said, it kind of creates a space where they're almost like isolating themselves from it's like a self-sabotage in a way. So that was one thing that was kind of going through my mind as we were doing this exercise.
That's great. Yeah. Hold on one sec. Go for it.
Yeah. So, AJ, you know me. We just met a few weeks ago, and I just have one question. How many of you guys in the room have actually served a homeless on the street? Raise your hand. Have served a homeless on the streets? Okay. So you guys have a sense that all they basically want is someone to go there and ask the question, how are you doing? Right? So it's like, I love everything you're doing, Jay, and I'm going to partner up with you and do whatever I can to help you out. But we do have the solution in our hands, and I think it's way simpler than sometimes we overthink. You know, we're always trying to create this massive, big thing that's going to be a big bang and everything's going to be resolved. It won't. It takes all of us. It's not like a system where it's someone should do something about it, or I should do something about it, right? So, question I have for you, AJ, is that how many people actually extend the hands to you and say, "Hey, how you doing today?" Like, out of the 10 years or 20, how long you stayed at 10 years?
Yeah.
Like, how many people actually start a conversation with you on your worst?
Well, I mean, it wasn't, there weren't that many people, to be honest with you. And, you know, you kind of feel invisible when you're homeless. And, you know, I mean, we see it every day, people stepping over people who might be dead, you know, to get their lattes, right? And
how important was those conversations to you? Those few ones
those conversations were touching. They were important. They reminded me that people care. There are some people who care, but they didn't alone. They weren't alone a catalyst for my transformative journey, and they didn't provide me with a toolkit to be successful on that journey. Now, I know the work that you do with the church, and so you're talking to people and you're inviting them into an environment, a community that's very powerful, with a lot of tools within it. And so I think that's, I mean, you know, you have success rates with what you do. I don't know what they are specifically, but, and you're talking about God and, you know, and so
of course. So,
faith-based stuff is really
majority of the
important.
people say, no, I don't want any prayer. I refuse prayer. That's fine. You know, we still serve them. But one thing that I learned throughout the years serving them is that all they want, majority of the time, is just someone to talk, someone to affirm them. Someone to say,
I agree.
I love you. This is your identity in this season.
Yeah.
But it does not determine who you are. You know, it's like.
Well, we always I agree, and we have a special guest right now that
Awesome.
I'm gonna give the mic to, and it's gonna kind of I'll get to right after my special. He's on hold. So I did actually meet someone on the streets the other day named Ron, and we struck up a conversation over pizza here at Extreme Pizza, and I'm gonna let Ron kind of just tell his story. We're gonna ask a few questions. Hey, Ron, you there?
Yes.
Okay. Hey, thanks for joining us. We're in a big keynote talk here and with a wonderful group of people. So I just want to do you guys have any questions for Ron? How are you doing? What's going on with you? What's going on with your life and how are you doing?
Well, I mean, it started off well, but it started from the upbringing, living in, public housing and stuff like that, and having a single parent, home, and not much support, of being the minority in the city of San Francisco.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, I mean, in my personal decision of this whole thing is like my life's been fair, but it's not, it could have been better, and I'm not complaining about it, but it's just that some of the systems that I've been accustomed to over the years in my life, they're not really set up to help anybody. It's to put you in this system, and it's not really set up to help you further. I feel like it's just to keep you in a cap situation, like keep you in a minimum. How can I say this? A financial hole. That's how I feel about it.
What are some of the challenges you're facing right now in terms of moving forward and dealing with your own transformation?
Well, right now I'm facing homelessness right now due to my family passing away, and basically my family and not getting along and making it work. They wanted to sell the house, and the price that they quoted me in the situation it would have became if I did take the offer and all this stuff or whatever, work it out. It wasn't gonna work out, so I decided to leave to be on my own as a man. And it's not that easy because I have, like I said, barriers and stuff that like some system that got me to being in this situation. Trying to help myself with being on like aid, like government assistance, stuff like that. It's not really helping my situation.
So you feel like you're kind of on your own. The system's kind of
well, like I said, yeah. So like for example, I just signed up for general assistance, and since I'm homeless, they are telling me I'm being basically forced into being in a homeless shelter because they have no and for me I need the cash aid because basically I just need the money to get on my feet because they was only offering me food stamps for the general assistance because I didn't have a home, so they was going to put me in a homeless shelter and then give me food stamps. Which is good, but like for my situation, I didn't want to be amongst the homeless because that's like being on the streets to me. And I already done the homeless shelter before with the beginning when my auntie passed away out of my family. So that wasn't a good situation for me because a lot of people in there are sick and they got bad, nasty habits and other stuff. And when I was in there, I was getting sick. So I didn't want to be there. So long story short, I went into, got myself a job, and then I was working and maintaining the job, and I was living out of a hotel for like 3 years. Until the job got, to the point where I wasn't able to work there no more. So this being gridlocked in certain situations, being in a system that's going to cap you at at a certain amount of money, or you got to do this and do that to get this, to have that. You know, it's just like, yeah. And for me, explaining it is not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to show the proof that I have, you know, basically so people can see what's going on, because you can talk about the situation and nothing's going to get solved. It's just that people need to be awoke and knowing that these systems that they got set up is not working. Like helping the people in San Francisco, half of the programs they got are giving people the help, but it's not helping them because they think they. All right, so for example, the city is giving some homeless people drugs or something for their addictions or some stuff I heard. But like I said, I'm not that deep in the streets. I'm not a street person, so I'm not really in the streets. I go to a friend's house, or I go to a girl house, or I'm, you know, or other family that I'm cool with that I'll deal with. But other than that, I've just been just wherever I'm gonna be at, I'm gonna be at. But I really can't put a finger on it. You know what I mean? It's just so much stuff happening, and it's like it's all like a snowball effect. So that's why I'm trying to, you know, answer the questions for you guys, and so y'all can really understand, because it's a deeper situation, but I'm trying to get to the root for y'all.
Yeah. So I have another question. I want to open it up to the room to ask a couple questions, or we can go to that right now. Anybody have a question? Mike, someone's got a question for you, Ron.
Okay.
Hold on a second.
Okay.
Oh, hey, how's it going? I just had a quick question. I was wondering, like maybe before you became homeless, like what was your, did you ever have like an interest or a career that you were interested in, or anything that you were like passionate about before you got sort of absorbed in all the struggle of surviving and stuff?
So the question is, before you came homeless, what was your vocation, your passion? Were you in school? I mean, what were you doing? What were your interests?
Well, really, when my family, which is my auntie, she passed away, and I was taking care of her. I was doing in-home care. Before, I was working off the system from San Francisco County, and then I ended up working for the county with taking care of her. And then basically she needed more help after a while, and basically I had to let other people take care of her because she needed more help than what I was qualified to do. But I was still there helping her, and I was stayed with her until she passed away in her house. And like I said, the family wanted to sell the house, and that left me homeless. But before that, I was holding multiple jobs. So at the same time as working with my auntie. So I was working two or three jobs at the time. I was a club promoter. I worked at a store at the Salvation Army, and I did the Goodwill. So I was working multiple jobs at that time. I was doing half and half shifts and stuff. So I had like halftime hours and stuff. So I was able to work both companies and stuff, and I was into the community service work at that time.
You have a question, Paul?
Yeah. So was there, in your time on the street, was there ever anybody that has reached out to you that you felt really had compassion, or started down that journey where they could invite you in? Was there anybody, any organization you felt like does a really good job reaching out to you just to check in with you?
Was there any organization
or person
in your time on the streets that reached out to you and invited you into their organization?
I mean, I heard about a couple of spots, but I was really more stable with that job at the time, so it really was just the job I was holding on to that kept me going. So, but this, like I said, everything as a stress level, as a mental health, I was going mentally, stressing out about, my day-to-day living situation, because I was, running out of money for the hotels, and, the prices, the rates is different every week or every day, or, so, just keeping up with the maintain and changing and different stuff. And I had my storage, and, And now, you know, to this day, I still got all my stuff at, you know, different people's houses. And I got to, you know, and today I got an interview to go to get another job to get back on my feet. That it took me a year to get, you know, my guard card and everything because child support, you know, I got a whole daughter and stuff. And I have, you know, no stability, even if I did have my stuff together to take care of my daughter because I have no spot. Because even that, you know, even when I was holding the multiple jobs, I couldn't get an apartment because my credit score wasn't matching. And then I had to make the reason why I was working the 2 jobs because I was trying to make the money to get my credit score up and all that because I had to make 2 times the rent in order to be in the apartment also. So, yeah.
Hey, Ronnie, I just got one last question, and then we got to shut it down here. So,
okay, yeah,
you're super like verbal and able to have a conversation. You're very observant. I found in our talks together. What do you think, what do you see as like the main blockers for people in terms of like on the streets changing their lives and being successful in the programs that they do offer?
Well, it depends on the situation. That's a tough question to answer. I mean, I hope I answered the other ones right, but yeah, like for me, I can't speak on that one because every program is different. That is set up, you know. So they got alcohol, they got drug, and I wasn't on drugs. So me, I just went to GA and I just try to work with the GA people to, you know, help get me a job. That was the only thing because I really just need a job, and I can hold multiple jobs and just do that and save money. And then I can get back on my feet. But it's just that credit score thing that was a blocker. And, you know, and yeah, that's a tough question.
Hey, I got to close it out. We're going to talk more, but if anybody wants to, how do we get back to my slide here?
Yeah.
Hold on, Ron.
Okay.
To the last slide. Yeah, there we go. If anybody wants to support Ron, you can scan the QR code that Paul's going to put up, and I'll make sure that Ron gets that money. Does he have like his own Venmo? Do you have a Venmo, Ron?
Well, I got Cash App because, yeah, it's just.
Let's just tell us what the Cash App is. You want to do that? Either way, you can scan and Venmo, and Ron and I are working together, so he's helping with the program development. So feel free to scan that. Ron, I'm gonna let you go.
Okay.
I'll call you.
Can I send it to you? Can I send you the thing and then?
Yeah, send it to me.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you guys, and I hope I worked the questions out for you guys, and I really appreciate you guys. You know, even trying to tackle this subject.
All right. Love you, man.
All right. Love you too, man.
Okay.
All right. All right. Bye.
That was interesting. How was that? That was kind of fun. Anyway, so I met Ron on the streets last week, and we got together for pizza, and he's really smart, and he's worked for the Salvation Army and the Goodwill and some of these other programs. And so I want him to help us develop this curriculum and sort of be the voice of the people on the streets. One of them, there will be. Yeah, well, I think he categorized it as sort of street people and currently unhoused or something. You know, I think that's, yeah, his perspective. But thank you guys for listening today, and that was great. Thank you for helping me get this.
Thank you so much,
through this
AJ.
talk.
Let's give him a round of applause. Thank you for the work
that
you're
was
doing.
really cool.